So when having a purposeful conversation and you're dealing with either a praise conversation or a correction conversation, you need to bear in mind the 7 C's of communication to make sure that your message gets through and has the desired effect. So let me take you through what we call the 7 C's of communication. Number 1 is coherent. So this can be anything to do with your accent, the language you're using, or even the message that you're giving across. Is it easy to understand? When you've said what you need to say, has someone taken away the right message? Has your accent confused them? Has the language that you've used confused them? Or have you just made it impossible to get to grips with what you want? So remember, be coherent. Number 2, complete. It sounds so obvious, but when you're giving a message, make sure it's got a start, a middle, and an end. So someone walks away with the full picture of what it is they've got to take away. So number 2, make sure it's complete. Number 3, be courteous. Now, my mum and dad brought me up to be a nice lad. So when you're having a conversation with somebody, I think it's always good to be polite. No one ever likes or responds well to something when they feel like they're being beasted or told off. So just be a nice person. Be courteous, be polite, but make sure you get your message across. Number 4, be clear. Is the message you're trying to give totally clear and obvious? Can someone get the wrong end of the stick with what you're saying? Are you being very specific in what you want to happen? Could it be completely open to interpretation? Make sure you've had a good think about what it is you're trying to say and get that message across clearly. The next C in the 7 C's is concise. Why use 50 words when 5 will do? The longer you speak, the more there is to hear, the more there is to think about, the more there is to get wrong. So, when you're thinking about the message you're trying to get across, how can you put it across as succinctly as possible, right? And my rule of thumb is, the less words you use, the better. So think about being concise. Now, number 6. Might sound a bit weird, but we like to use the word concrete. Now, what do we mean by concrete? Well, we want that message to be rock solid. Is it factual? Is it going to lead someone in the right direction? Is it open to challenge? Is it a bit wishy-washy? You don't want any of those things. You want it to be concrete. You want it to be factual. You want it to be something that is really going to be very, very obvious for someone to take away and use and believe in the message that you're trying to put across. So when you're communicating these things, think about the word concrete. And number 7, perhaps the most obvious of all, perhaps the one that's the most overlooked. Is what you're saying correct? Just think about that for a second. Is it the advice you're giving, the correction you're giving, the praise you're giving? Is it right? Are you 100% sure? Is the manner that you're giving that message across right? Make sure it is. Think about making sure the message you're trying to give is correct. Imagine if you give the wrong information, or you speak to the wrong person, or you reference the wrong thing that's happened. You completely undermine your message. So, obvious as it may sound, think about making sure that what you're about to say is correct.